turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
Live from Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. Stay tuned later in the show. We'll tell you about the Coach's Collectibles item of the week and upcoming events put on by Coach's Collectibles. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Well, hi again, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome to Sports Bash. Phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Make sure you're following Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And make sure you are subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcasts on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also listen to Sports Bash on Apple Music and Spotify. Later in the show, we're going to talk NFL draft, and no, it is not too early to talk about the 2026 NFL draft because the Jets have 2 wins, the Giants have 2 wins, and now you start to look ahead who these teams going to take with all those draft picks. So we're going to talk to Nick and get a little early synopsis on some of the top prospects for the 2026 NFL draft. We'll also have what's hot at ticketbash.com, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and as I mentioned before, the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. And just a quick reminder, next week, obviously no show next Thursday because of Thanksgiving, so we're going to do shows on Monday and Tuesday next week. A great event is coming up here on Long Island this Monday, November 24th at Hilton, Long Island in Melville. It is the Long Island Fight for Charity, and we have a couple of the charitable boxers that are going to be taking part in that event on Thursday at the Long Island Hilton in Melville. Rob Madden, Nick Russo are both going to participate in this great event that raises a lot of money for a great cause on Monday night. Guys, welcome to Sports Bash.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man.
Rob, let me start with you. Tell us about the Long Island Fight for charity, how this event started, and where the proceeds for this event go to.
Sure, Peter. So it was 20 years ago that three friends got together and said, let's do something for the community, and why not do it around boxing? They were boxing fans, and they stepped into the ring and started raising money for Long Island Community Chest. And it's morphed over time into probably one of the biggest networking events of the year, and obviously just a huge boxing event that I don't think a lot of people know about. Specifically myself, 2 years ago, I got a phone call and was asked to be a ring girl. I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. I'm known for wearing, a little bit of eccentric attire, but when my buddy Jason called me and said, hey, can you be a ring girl at this fight at the Hilton? I said, yeah, why not? It was me and about 20 girls from Cannes and Gossip. To me, that's a win-win. So I show up, and here's 1,500 people in the middle of the Huntington Hilton's, central conference room, ballroom, and elevated ring in the center, and it was a hell of an event. And I'm there. And at the end of the fight, one of the members from the committee came up to me and said, "You should fight next year." And I'm sipping my wine like, "No, I'm good." This nose doesn't really take much for punches to the face. I'm a father of 6 kids, and I was like, "No, I'm all right." And then, they started to kind of call me, and I kind of just said, "You know what, maybe." And then the phone calls really came in. I was very hesitant to get into the ring in 2024. It ended up being one of the greatest moments of my life. My personal story is I was in the military. I went to the Naval Academy, and I lost a really close friend on 9/11. He was an intelligence officer stationed at the Pentagon. And, my naval career kind of sidetracked, and I ended up leaving the academy early. And Jonas ended up getting a job I wanted. He was an intelligence officer. I'm colorblind, and I couldn't have done a lot of things in the Navy, but I wanted to be an intelligence officer. I was a little envious of him. And here he is. I talked to him about 2 weeks before he passed away. And, I was a little envious. But Jonas boxed, and he was kind of an instigator for me to say, you know what, maybe I should get in the ring. We all memorized the poem by Teddy Roosevelt when we were at the academy, The Man in the Arena. And as a father of 6 kids, I was like, maybe I need to show them what to do. And could I raise the $10,000? Could I hold my own in the ring? Like, am I going to make a fool of myself? And sure enough, we raise money by selling tickets to the event, which is kind of unique, right? So the more people that want to see you get punched in the face, the more money you can raise. And as a testament to myself, whether it's because I have a lot of friends or a lot of enemies or a lot of frenemies, I don't know what it was, but I raised over $36,000 last year selling tickets. I was the number 2 fundraiser. My opponent, Sammy Bamboo Chew, was the number 1. So we were the title fight. And looking back, it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Nick led my entourage last year. And at the end of that fight, he came up to me and said, "I think I want to do this next year."
So let me bring Nick in. So you go from basically being what Paulie was to Rocky to now you're actually going to step into the ring.
Yeah,
on
when you
Monday.
put it like that, that's almost exactly what it was. But when we showed
I didn't mean that in a bad
no,
way.
No. Listen, I was fat. I was out of shape going into it. I've lost 20 pounds since I started training for this. Went to my coach yesterday. I got on the scanner. I was telling Rob down to 9% body fat. So it's last year when I was at the event though. I looked at Rob and I was like, and he saw it in my eye. He's like, "You're doing this next year." I was like, "There's no shot I'm not doing this." Should have asked permission from my wife first.
It's always a good idea. Always a good idea.
Not particularly pleased, but when I explained to her, I feel like this is one of the rare situations where you do something for yourself, but a lot of other people can benefit from it too, right? So I got my life on track with my nutrition, with my working out, with my sleep, with everything. Just everything's been better on my side. And through doing that, I mean, my total's not at Rob's, but I've raised about $15,000 so far, hoping to get that up to maybe 20 by fight night. So we got people in the community benefiting, and me and my family got to benefit too.
So Rob, you have a little more experience in the ring than Nick, but for both of you, when you see boxing on TV now, when you see the big fights and you see fights that might be on ESPN, and does being involved in this now give you guys a better? Why were you laughing? You don't even know where I'm going with the question. Does this now give you a better appreciation for what these boxers do when you see them on TV? Because now you're going through training for a fight, even though it's for charity. But does that give you a better appreciation for the sport of boxing now that you're involved in it?
I played a lot of sports growing up. I was recruited for football at Navy. I was recruited for fencing, which maybe is a little bit of an aerobic sport and very one-on-one, similar to boxing. But there is nothing in the world like boxing. MMA, I guess I would tie into. I'm not a big fan. I don't watch it often. It's hard to watch. It's a little too bloody for me. But I've never done anything that exhausts me more than 3 minutes in the ring. When you play certain sports, sometimes your mind can wander. You're like, what am I going to do for dinner? Oh, do I have to pick up the kids later? When you are in there, you are thinking about, do not get hit, and how do I land a punch? And that's it. You are so focused. And yes, 100%. appreciation for what these guys do, especially those fights that go the distance.
Yeah.
Couldn't even imagine it.
Nick,
Yeah.
same thing with you.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't give it the reverence it deserved going into it because I had been an athlete my whole life, played collegiate volleyball, played basketball growing up. I haven't stopped moving since I was born pretty much, and I was like, I could do this. And after my first workout, I had my camera guy there, and I told him, I was like, that was the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. That's every workout. Every workout you do. And we hadn't even sparred yet. But it was rough. You're going an hour and 45 minutes. You're nonstop. You get 1 minute breaks every once in a while if coach lets you take that minute break in between rounds. But it is, and we're
It's
only
every muscle
doing
in your
we're
body, too.
doing less than probably 20% of what a real boxer is doing when they're getting ready for an event. And I wake up every morning. I feel like the Tin Man, trying to move, just trying to get going. But it's fantastic, and yeah, it's unbelievable.
Rob Madden and Nick Russo participating in the Long Island Fight for Charity this Monday, November 24th at Hilton, Long Island in Melville. And the proceeds go to, as you mentioned before, Long Island Community Chest. Tell us a little bit about that charity and where the proceeds will go to.
Right. So everything raised goes towards Long Island Fight for Charity, which feeds Long Island Community Chest, which really helps families in need. You know, there's a situation that comes up and somebody's in dire straits, and they can reach out, and you know, we're going to help them get to that next week, that next month. So Long Island Community Chest does a great thing. Now, every boxer commits to raising at least $10,000. We ask every boxer to choose a charity, to a local charity. It has to be Nassau or Suffolk based, and every dollar over 10,000 will get 50 cents of it is going to go to the charity of your choice. So Nick's already raised, you know, he's already in the green, and most of our boxers are at this point in time for somebody local. Nick is fighting for the same charity I fought for, which is Goodfellas, Suffolk County. Very similar cause. This is a group of guys. It's a very old organization that gives money to people in need as they need it, without no questions asked. You need something happens, you know, will you give us a call? We can throw you $300, $400, $500, sometimes even more, depending on the situation, just to maybe get you through that next phase. Some of the big ones that have consistently been supported, I would say Eden 2 programs. They've been around since 1976. They offer educational, residential, and adult day programs and family support services to people across the autism spectrum. That's a big one.
That's a very important one.
Yep. New Ground is a big one that we support. This is, again, Long Island families and veterans providing social work, educational services, and housing stability. The Michael Magro Foundation, located in Hicksville, they honor the life of Michael Magro by supporting children with cancer and other chronic pediatric illnesses by easing some of the non-medical burdens on their families. And Girl Scouts of Nassau and Suffolk County is a big one as well. Obviously, I think most of us know their role in mentoring young girls into, you know, having character and self-esteem and really trying to be advocates for their own communities. So those are our big ones, but every boxer picks something that's maybe near and dear to their heart.
Right.
We have a ton of veterans fighting this year. In fact, you know, I don't take veteran status, but the guy I'm fighting, Donnie Blankenship, is a veteran. Gennaro Cavazos, who is our title fight this year, fighting against Matteo Scarduzio, is also a veteran, a Marine veteran. So, you know, we do a lot for a lot of different people, and we allow the boxers to choose their passion too.
Is Bill Corbett getting in the ring?
Bill Corbett is not getting in the ring, but I mean, he's probably
He's the
watching
PR person
right now.
he's the PR person
know,
for the event. I thought, you know, maybe he might.
And
might
it's
wanna
the fact
step
that you
in.
just called him out a little. I don't know.
But I will
You gotta
say
get him in
that
next year.
last year, Anthony Labuti from Corbett Productions was one of the boxers. So a lot of people, you know, as a committee member, because again, remember, I'm on the committee because I wanted to give back. I'm stepping into the ring. They asked me yesterday, so this is.
Oh, so you weren't even supposed to be involved.
I was not
on
supposed to be
Monday.
fighting a week ago. And similar story, I mentioned it to my wife, and she said, no, you haven't trained at all. You have not picked, your stuff's been in the garage for a year. And I'm sad to say that's true. But the committee meetings, interestingly enough, are at about 8 a.m. Once a month. And my son's school starts at about 9:30 a.m. So I bring him with me. He's 8 years old. And he sits in the corner while the 20 of us get around the round table. And I told him adamantly, I said, my wife said no yesterday. And my son stood up and said, but Dad, I never got to see you fight last year. I think you should do it. Do it for me. And the room got very emotional, and talk about guilt. So I did say yes, and I don't
Honey,
think my wife.
you should have seen the look on his face. He wanted me to fight. What am I supposed to do?
How much
Say
did you
no?
pay him to say that?
8
by the
years
way?
old and
That
very
was-
persuasive. I'm impressed with him. He's a good kid.
Nick, your opponent on Monday. What's the tale of the tape with your fight on Monday?
We are similar weight. He has a little more experience than me, as do almost all the boxers. I didn't know that experience was, not required, but requested when you sign up for this. But I think it's going to be good.
It's not. It's not requested. We found out that he actually has
just so
some
everybody
fights
did. Yeah.
under his belt. He is fighting a cardiac doctor out of New York City. His name is Assad Daredevil Muhammad, and we did just
right.
find the video from him fighting in Haymakers for Hope. I think it was 2 years ago. So that was a little eye-opening.
Yeah.
How
It
do you
was
feel
great.
about that, Nick?
Listen, I feel good, and I talked to him about it. We're going into this for the right reasons, which is, hey, the boxing is cool and all, but we're part of a group that's going to raise close to, if not more than $300,000, for charity. So we understand big picture, being a part of something like that, just globally is fantastic to be a part of.
Since 2002, the charity has raised, or the event has raised over $1.7 million with 400 volunteer boxers over that time. You brought some props in. Let's take a look.
I brought my gloves because I had just pulled them out of the garage, like I said. I was
look too
happy that
clean.
there was nothing living inside of them. I don't think they smell too bad. We do fight with 16-ounce gloves. I believe that a sanctioned boxing match that you might see on TV is either 10
I
or
don't think I
10 or
think their
12
hands are
ounce.
You gotta do that
smaller
Velcro
than-
there.
Well, yeah, no.
No, it's got to open
I would
up.
say my hands are not smaller than
no.
yours.
See, Boomer Esiason calls my hands meat hooks whenever I fill in.
I
on
get
the
that a
morning
lot,
show.
too.
Let's see. Let's get that on. Oh, it does fit. There we
These
go.
are not the boxing gloves we use for the night. They have to be sanctioned by USA Boxing, so we bring in pairs of red and blue.
So this event is sanctioned by USA
This
Boxing.
is a sanctioned fight. Every one of our boxers gets a boxing book. They at the end of the fight, we actually don't declare a winner, but in your boxing book, the decision will be
look tough.
made.
Cut me, Nick.
You look tough.
We typically do not
is how it
have
starts, man.
knockouts, but partly because it's a 3-round fight. We
Right.
do abbreviated rounds, but there's been some great competition. Blood is often drawn, and
Plenty of blood last year.
Oh, my
there was a
God.
good amount of blood last year.
You brought in a WWE championship belt, and I bring that up because we had a couple of wrestlers in here not long ago, and we thought chairs might be flying. So, is this belt belong to somebody for the fight, or is it
Purely a prop, and I brought it in because last year, as I met with my entourage, the 6 guys who walked me out, Nick had gotten this for me for the fight, so I'm going to pass the torch to him this year. You're going to have to give that to
Thank
your lead
you.
in your entourage. I might be done in
This
time
looks
to
bigger
be
on
part
screen when
of
I ordered it, by the
your
way.
entourage.
So your nickname is Nicky Booms.
Nicky Booms.
Now, we talked about this off the air yesterday, but you have been given the nickname The Big Show.
Rob the
And
Big
first
Show,
thing,
man, yep.
The first thing I asked you was, were you a WWE fan? Because Paul White was known in WWE as the Big Show.
yep.
So is that where that came from?
It wasn't. Somebody gave me that nickname, and I tend to be a large personality and put on a show when I go out. So
It's actually one of the most fitting nicknames I've ever heard. For somebody.
and I've kept it. I've kept it because it is pretty fitting. But I was requested this morning at the gym by one of the other boxers. He was like, "You should come out to the Big Show theme song." So I think I might do that.
Well, it's The Big Show.
I think I
we
might
get-
do that this year.
Are we going to get in trouble if we find that song and play it? We might get in
We're
trouble.
going to get in trouble just for having you sing.
So, nice, Tony.
Man.
Let's talk about
crowd.
tickets for Monday. I know over 1,000 people are supposed to be at the event. Can people still get tickets, and how can they do
can
that and
still
get more
get
information?
tickets. I don't know if we sell them at the door, but they are available on the website. It's a digital ticket, so you can definitely get them before fight night. The website is lifightforcharity.org. And you just go on there and hit support our boxers, and you actually the main page will give you a landing page where you can say purchase tickets. We offer 2 tickets. There's a general admission, and then there's a VIP ticket. VIP tickets ideally are going to be sold beforehand because we do reserve you a seat
Right.
in the first 3 rows. General admission tickets, though, give you pretty much full access to everything else. We have a tremendous number of supporters that work with us on this. About 15 restaurants will come. They will, around the outside of the room, they will have food that comes with the price of admission. We serve alcohol. We serve beer. There's a lot of vendors involved, and we really couldn't do it without them. So we really appreciate their support. I know Uncle Giuseppe's is involved this year, so they'll be setting. I think they have 1,000 feet of hero coming. Lessings is a huge supporter of us. I don't want to miss a lot of people, but we're going to put out some social media ourselves, just highlighting some of these restaurants. But tickets are still available. Sponsorships not so much, but we always accept donations. And what happens is when you make the donation, a drop-down menu will come up, and you can pick a boxer to support. So Nick's on there. Our leading
He's pointing to himself.
fundraiser, our leading
Trying to
fundraiser
squeeze
right
a few
now
more bucks.
is a real estate agent
goes to
named
good people.
Tanya, the Steeltown Siren Brandes. She is well over $25,000. Our Michelle Laredo Torres, also known as Queen of Hearts, is another one who has brought in over $20,000. And these, again, remember, tickets sold equals money raised. So these people are going to have huge contingents at the fight night.
It sounds like an awesome night. This Monday, November 24th, it's Long Island Fight for Charity at the Hilton Long Island in Melville. Rob Madden, Nick Russo, my guests, and they are going to participate in the ring on Monday. Normally I would shake hands, but I got the boxing gloves on, so we'll just duke it out a little bit. Nick, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And have a blast. I hope to be there on Monday night. I'm not going to get in the ring. The only way I would get in the ring is if you let me be the ring announcer.
That's a possibility.
we could.
I think we'd love someone with your clout getting involved.
Well, I don't have much clout. I mean, I work with Tony.
Jeez, Tony catching strays over here. What are you just
Not mine.
I think
we'll
you
talk
play in the circles, Peter, that we would like to also expand upon.
Well, we'll see. We'll talk to Bill, and maybe even just for one fight. I would love to. It's like being a ring announcer for either a boxing match or a wrestling match is on my bucket list.
Okay.
So maybe we can figure out a way to make it work. So,
yeah.
But thank you guys for coming in. Good luck with the event, and hopefully we've
really
already heard
appreciate
some of the numbers, and hopefully you guys break some records on Monday,
That'll be
raising
awesome.
money for the Long Island Community Chest. We thank Rob and Nick for joining us. When we come back here on the show, we're going to talk a little football about the NFL draft with Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. He's going to join us when we come back here on Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17, And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyWyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. We thank Rob and Nick from the Long Island Fight for charity, and that sounds like a great event on Monday at the Hilton in Melville here on Long Island, and I hope to be there on Monday. That should be a great event. 516-465-3990 is the number to call here on the show, and I know this may seem a little early to broach this subject, but the Jets have 2 wins and 3 first-round picks, and the Giants have 2 wins, and who knows what's going on with them. So I thought it would be a good time to just take a look into someone's crystal ball, to look ahead to April and the NFL draft and see, well, who might the Jets and Giants be targeting, because we're in the middle of a horrible football season again here in New York, and it's that time of the year where fans start to look ahead and they start rooting for draft positioning and things like that. So we have with us here on the show, and looking forward to this as well, NFL draft writer for The Athletic, Nick Baumgardner. He joins us here on Sports Bash. Nick, it's Peter. How are you?
Peter, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. And again, from a New York perspective, this has been a miserable football season so far, and now you have fans looking ahead to the draft. Let's start with the Jets first. And right now, as we speak, they have, after the deadline trades, they have 3 first-round picks in this year's draft, and the Jets need so much work. But when you look at their situation, and with 3 first-round picks, can you kind of look into your crystal ball a little bit and take a peek as to who the Jets might be targeting when we get to April and the NFL draft?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets are, in a really interesting spot now. And I think that they have more flexibility, obviously, than anybody. And really, you got to look at it for the next 2 years. Because I think it's 5 firsts over the next 2 years, right? So the Jets could do one of 2 things here with the quarterback. Obviously, we know they need a quarterback. But when you really look at this quarterback class right now that's coming out, when we started the season, it was a lot of guys that were younger that haven't played super great. A lot of those guys are probably going to go back to school. This is probably not going to be a great class. So the Jets are now set up to wait at quarterback if they want, to attack it next year. And, they could be in a situation next year, if there's a stud at the top, they could say, okay, we're trading a bunch, whatever it takes. We're going to go get them, and they'll have the ammo to do that, while also going through this year and, just kind of checking off needs. Like, I thought this was a good move for the Jets. I don't know what else you do. I mean, you got to tear it down and restart it. They had talented players on that team, but it really wasn't meshed well together. So this is going to be a really big test in terms of, what kind of decision do you want to make immediately at quarterback, or do you want to wait? Because you could get a really good receiver this year. You get a really good receiver next year. You could bulk up your defensive line in both. So I think that there's a lot of things they could do Jets-wise, and I think that's why they're in such a good spot right now, draft-wise.
They just, Nick, have not been able to get the quarterback situation right with all the draft picks that they've had over the years, and they brought in Justin Fields this year, and it just, it hasn't worked out. But to your point about maybe, it's everybody is saying, oh, the Jets are going to take a quarterback. They're going to take a quarterback. Well, we don't know where they're going to wind up with their own pick. We don't know where the other picks are going to wind up as well. So the Jets, as you mentioned, might be in a position where they may go dip their toes into the free agent waters again and bring in another stopgap to replace Justin Fields and kind of, maybe, put their chips in for 2027. So I would imagine that's got to be something that's on the Jets' minds, because they may not get or may not be in a position to get the quarterback that they really want this year.
Right. In terms of the guys that are like the most talented, you've got, and that are the youngest, you've got guys like a Dante Moore, the kid from Oregon, who's been spectacular this season. no promises that he doesn't go back to Oregon. Phil Knight and the Nike money and all those people out there are certainly going to make it worth his while.
Yeah.
So, and he has a lot to work on. He's a guy that still, you argue that he needs more time. Only started 1 year. Lenora Sellers, the kid from South Carolina. I don't think anybody's more talented than him physically, and I'm not sure he's ready. Arch Manning is maybe the grandest prize of all. I mean, people, were love to attack him when he struggled earlier this year, but physically, this kid is very, very good. If he puts it together, he's going to be a top end pick. So next year's class, we do this all the time. It always seems a little more enticing, but in this case, I think it actually probably is. Whereas if you did it this year, you're looking at a guy like, it's not bad though this year either. I want to stress that you could go into this year if you love a guy like Fernando Mendoza, the kid from Indiana, or Ty Simpson, Alabama's quarterback, who I think are really solid players. If you think that you love those guys, you take them, you plant your flag, and then you just start building around them. That's not the worst thing either, because next year, we look at a guy like Jeremiah Smith, the kid from Ohio State, that amazing receiver. The Jets could say, we're just going to target him. We already have our quarterback. We're going to go get a stud like that. So there's a lot of flexibility there over the next 2 drafts where they could end up with not just like 5 really good players, but like maybe a couple stars. You know what I mean? I think that's possible.
Mendoza looks to me, Nick, like a guy that can handle New York and maybe built for New York, because he had the great, comeback win over Penn State. You hear the interviews and you hear the way that he talks, and sometimes it's simplistic to say, oh, this guy can make it in New York, this guy can't. He looks and sounds like a guy that can play in the Big Apple. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I've been really impressed with him this season. He came over from Cal into a very different offense in a very different situation. And it wasn't like perfect early. I mean, they had some hiccups in like their first game, but kind of like what we saw last year with Cam Ward, and what really made Cam Ward the number 1 pick, I thought, is that every game Mendoza has played, he has gotten better. Almost there are times where it's almost every series. You see something about his game that either the consistency gets a little bit better, or he's doing something with his reads that are a little more polished than it was the last time out. So he's a guy that just gets better every time he plays. He's serious. I think that's the main thing. Wants to win. Went to a place where A, he could win. B, he could develop even further than he already has with Cignetti. So I do like him a lot. And I also like Ty Simpson for similar reasons. That's a tough spot to play at Alabama, and that didn't start great either, but he has also improved and, shown some mental toughness there. And as we talked about, anybody that plays in New York, Jackson Dart, same kind of thing. You got to be mentally tough and be able to handle all that. And I think that there's some guys in this class that definitely qualify that.
We're talking to Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic, NFL Draft Writer, here on Sports Bash, as we take a little distant look ahead to the 2026 NFL Draft with the Jets and the Giants in the midst of another horrible season. Let's switch over to the Giants. You just mentioned Jackson Dart, who's currently out in concussion protocol, but it certainly looks like the Giants hit the lottery by getting him in the first round in the 2025 draft. So quarterback is not something that the Giants are going to pay close attention. Now, we'll still see if Joe Shane is still the GM at the end of the season. We'll see if he still gets to be the guy who makes the picks for the Giants. But when you look at Big Blue, knowing that they've already got the quarterback situation locked up, for the future, what do the Giants look to target? Because they, just like the Jets, there's a lot of ways the Giants could go in the draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they could go, but obviously I think they're further along. And like we know, I mean, they love Jackson Dart. We love Scatabo when he gets healthy, and hopefully he's back soon and all that. But like, if he doesn't
get hurt at WWE events,
if he doesn't get suplexed or anything like that, then we'll be all good.
Yeah.
But I think the Giants actually have a chance here to really make a jump and be one of, like, we've talked about this in the past with teams like the Patriots last year used that as a springboard. The Texans a few years ago used a really good draft, and then suddenly went from bad to really good. And I think the Giants are in a situation where I keep looking at like tackle for them if they're up there in that top 5, like a guy like Spencer Fano from Utah, who is just a phenomenal athlete, young player, could play right or left tackle, could even play guard if you needed him to. To me, he would be that one extra piece that would help the Giants offense go from something that flashes to something that's really good. And then you look at the other side, and I love I love all the talent they have on that side of the ball, but it's young and it's still sort of coming along. So I think that they're in a position to put another anchor in there with a tackle up at the top of the draft, be it Fano, be it Caden Proctor, somebody else that they like better, and really push themselves forward. Because I think the Giants could be one of those teams that next year, if you do the right things, you get Neighbors back, you address receiver again in this draft too. they could be a team that suddenly, whoa, well, they're winning games and maybe they're even contending for a playoff spot.
I would think also the Giants might look to get some help in their secondary in the next draft. So when you look at the defensive backs that are available in 2026, who might be a guy or two that the Giants might want to look at?
Yeah, especially at the top, it's really interesting. The one guy that's going to be the hardest for everybody to slot this year, I think, is Caleb Downs, the safety, who can also play corner and who kind of is like a sub linebacker there at Ohio State. Caleb Downs is probably the best individual defensive player. Maybe Arvell Reese, the other kid there, who's more talented. But Downs is just a phenomenal do-it-all, do-everything player. It would depend on where you're at and how comfortable you are with taking a defensive back that high. To do it. If you were able to move down, even there's guys like Jermod McCoy, the corner from Tennessee, very talented. Avion Terrell, another corner from Clemson. But I love the idea of a team like New York, who again has got a lot of interesting pieces on defense. A lot of, I think Abdul Carter is going to be very good. He was a guy that was new to the edge position last year at Penn State, still coming along. I think that's going to work.
He's got to stay awake.
He's got to stay awake. Got to stay awake. Got to
Yeah.
stay awake and grow up. All that happens too. But you put a guy like Downs in there, a really serious player like Brian Branch in Detroit. Caleb Downs is a better version of that. And those guys can kind of change the math and change everything back there. So I love the fit there potentially as well if they wanted to go defensively.
Let's look at the draft in total, and obviously we still have 7 or 8 weeks left to go in the NFL season to hammer out what the draft order is going to look like, especially at the top. But when you look at the top of the draft, the top 5 picks, whether the Jets or Giants are there or it's other teams, how do you look at the top 5 picks in the 2026 draft? And of course, we don't know how those would slot depending on who's making those picks. But when you look at the top 5, what do you see?
It's going to be really interesting this year on who falls where in terms of the quarterback needy teams. Like that's what we've talked about almost every year, where if like the top 3 doesn't involve a team that needs a quarterback, I could see this being one where it almost played out like last year where the Giants were able to get a really good quarterback at the bottom of the first round. Like they played the board and made a really nice play and got a nice player. I could see something like that happening again this year because, a guy like Simpson from Alabama, Mendoza as well, I would be comfortable taking them in the top 10. But if the board falls a certain way, like Arvell Reese, Downs, Keldrick Faulk, Jeremiah Love, even the running back from Notre Dame is an awesome player. You've got some receivers in this draft who are great. Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon from USC. There's a lot of really good players that could push those quarterbacks down. So I'm not so sure yet that we'll see 2 go in the top 5. I mean, probably 1 because that's always what we see happens. But I think this could be another year where the board. That's why I've been interested with the Jets. They got that pick at the bottom of the first round. I mean, you could steal a quarterback there if you really wanted to play the board and wait on it.
And it looks like from your mock drafts that I've seen online and other people's as well, there's a lot of edge rushers in this draft. And if you're looking for a guy to get after the quarterback and you have, a premium pick, this might be the year to get that edge rusher, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few up there, and it's almost the something for everybody class, right? Where Keldrick Faulk, a guy I mentioned from Auburn, big guy, 6'6", 270, could play pretty much anywhere on your defensive front. Ruben Bain, kind of a similar deal from Miami, big, powerful edge rusher. David Bailey is another one who gets talked about probably in the top 15 as a pass rush specialist. I think he's probably up to near 15 sacks there at Texas Tech. But the one guy that I think is maybe the guy that's going to get everybody's attention the most is Arvell Reese from Ohio State, who's about 6'4", 6'3", 240, 245. He's built like Micah Parsons. I mean, you hate to compare people to Micah Parsons, but it's a Micah Parsons style player, and he has really turned that Buckeye defense into something different, and they've used him as a stand-up linebacker. They've used him off the edge. He's like Abdul Carter, but I think more of a physical presence, if we can believe that. So he might be the guy that's number 1 when all is said and done. But this is also a really interesting class in that all those guys, plus some of the others, it's going to be really up for grabs in the post-season sort of draft run-up will be interesting this year.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fascinating, especially when you see the teams jockeying for positions here in the last 7 or 8 weeks to see who winds up with the first pick and really who winds up with the top 5. I think that's going to be very intriguing. Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic, NFL draft writer. Nick, thank you so much for spending some time with me on the show today, and we hope to talk to you again down the road as we get closer to April 2026 and the NFL draft.
Absolutely, Peter. Anytime, just give me a shout.
You got it. Thanks so much. Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. He is an NFL draft writer for them, and great, 15, 20 minutes or so with him to kind of get a little, sneak peek early on, especially what the Jets and Giants might doing. And the Jets have those 3 first-round picks after the 2 deadline trades, and we'll see what they wind up doing. And, of course, the Giants, and I agree with Nick on this, the Giants are obviously a little further along in terms of, the totality of the talent on the roster. So, the Giants can also go in a number of different ways, but I think they have, a little bit more talent than the Jets do right now. So we'll see what they wind up doing. This segment of Sports Bash was presented by Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness for all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. We still have a lot to do here on the show in the final segment. We've got what's hot at ticketbash.com. We've got the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We're going to tell you about the Coach's Collectibles item of the week and some upcoming events. I'm going to tell you a fun thing that I did last night. We'll take a peek at that. And also, later in the show, we have to say goodbye to somebody, and we have to say hello to somebody. And that is all coming up when we come back here on the show right after this.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This segment of Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Don't forget to mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Peter Schwartz back with you here on Sports Bash, and a great segment, last segment with Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic to talk about the 2026 NFL Draft. In other words, the night that Jet fans get false hope. Especially this year with 3 first-round picks. Of course, I usually mention this at the top of the show, but we had in-studio guests. But, of course, always thanks to Tony Walker, my producer and the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show, 11 to 12:30 every Monday through Friday. And, of course, he almost fell off his chair laughing when I tried to put those boxing gloves on at the beginning of the show. I'm like, I can't get these on. And then of course, Rob says, well, you got to open it up. And I didn't realize, Rob, Tony, you mentioned it, because I joke Boomer Esiason always makes fun of my hands whenever I fill in on the morning show with the Fan, but Rob had. You think he had bigger hands than I did on?
Well, yeah. When you guys put them up together, I think his were bigger. A little bigger. I think it was.
I mean, I got to tell that to Boomer. He won't believe it. He won't believe it because he's like, "Oh my God, you got the biggest hands I've ever seen in my life."
Yep.
So I'll tell Boomer maybe we should bring Rob in and see if, because Boomer's got pretty big hands too. Because that's why he's always fascinated when I come in to fill in. He's like, "Look at those hands." And Bradley, my son, is a long snapper in college. You would think that he's got giant hands too, but he does not have, and I think it's a good thing too, because I don't think you want to have too big of hands to snap the ball. Sure, right. But Bradley does. I guess I have a big meat hook hand. How big? How big? See, now I feel like Andre the Giant against a little person.
Well, let's move it over a little bit. Move over a little bit so the camera. There you go. See, not even close.
This is the difference between my hand and Tony's hand. Oh my God. Yeah. So that was fun. I wish them all the best on Monday again. I hope to be there. The only caveat that may come up Monday, and I've been invited to go to the boxing event. I do intend to go, at the very least for a few of the matches, but there's this Nets-Knicks game on Monday night, and the only chance I have of getting tickets is because it's a Nets home game, and there's a possibility because I work for the broadcast home of the Nets, but I think it's probably a less than 10% chance. So I'm pretty sure you would see me at the Hilton in Melville on Monday night. Unless, of course, a miracle happens and I wind up with tickets to the Nets-Knicks game. We'll see what happens. Speaking of tickets, what's hot at ticketbash.com. Tonight, St. John's hosts Bucknell at Carnesecca Arena. The Islanders return from their road trip to host the Blues on Saturday, and then the Kraken on Sunday at UBS Arena. I just mentioned it. I didn't put it in the script, but of course, Monday night at Barclays Center, the Nets host the Knicks there in Brooklyn. Upcoming shows and concerts. Z100's Jingle Ball is coming up December 12th at the Garden. Stevie Nicks will be at Barclays Center November 19th. The Jonas Brothers were at UBS Arena last night, and they are coming back on December 21st. Get the best seats at the best prices with no service fees at ticketbash.com. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. This is for Knick fans like myself. Are you concerned that this team is just too injury prone to make a run at a championship? And you saw how beat up the Knicks were in the playoffs last year, the year before, and even this year. Jalen Brunson came back to the lineup last night. OG Anunoby is out. You never know with Mitchell Robinson. And I thought that was a legitimate question for today. Are you concerned that this team is just too injury prone to make a run at a championship? And I made it simple because, quite frankly, I get sick of asking for, other comment below, and then nobody comments below. So I just wanted to make it simple today because I didn't, my brain is fried about a whole bunch of different things. So I didn't need that kind of extra pressure in my life today. So 2 simple answers, yes or no. I'm very concerned. Tony, I know you're not a huge basketball fan, but when you see the same guys getting injured over and over and over again, I don't think it bodes well for the Knicks in the playoffs when you really need everybody at 100% or as close to that as possible.
Well, right. I mean, that goes with any team, any sport.
Yeah.
So, yes. So
right.
My answer would be yes.
And it's the same guys getting hurt over. Jalen Brunson's always getting hurt. He's their best player. And OG, who's been a huge factor, Josh Hart got injured in training camp. So I listen. You hope for the best, and hopefully the Knicks can be healthy.
Do you put any blame on the trainers at all, or, the medical staff at all, or no?
I don't know if you can do that when it's the same guys getting hurt. It'd be one thing if you have 12 active guys playing on an NBA team and they're all getting hurt, then you have to question how are these guys performing and training in training camp and in the offseason. But it's the same 2 or 3 guys that are always getting hurt for the Knicks. And that, to me, it just might mean that they're fragile. Remember, former Islanders goalie Rick DiPietro was always hurt. Not his fault. Great goalie. He just, couldn't avoid getting hurt. Giancarlo Stanton on the Yankees is a guy that is always getting hurt. I'm sure I can't think of other names off the top of my head, but there are guys who have played their careers, and you always worry about them getting hurt. And I think that's going to be a problem for the Knicks here this season. Again, very talented team, and I think we'll win the Atlantic Division and maybe make a run to get to the Eastern Conference Finals again. But unless they stay healthy, I don't see how they can get to the NBA Finals and certainly win the NBA championship. It's time for the Coaches Collectibles item of the week. It's this framed Rangers, Igor Shesterkin, Henrik Lundqvist shadow box with signed pucks. I can tell you right now that item will not be entering the Schwartz household. There's a lot of things that that Dom has at Coaches Collectibles that I'd like to bring home. That's not one of them. Of course, if it ever winds up in my house, it'll immediately get shifted to somebody else's house, as of other Ranger things that have found their way mysteriously into our home. Coaches Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. I will say this, when I do get Ranger stuff, it's always put away into a nice bag, put aside for my nephew Brian, who is a huge Rangers fan. His father Matt, so I don't know if they split it when I give them stuff, but yeah, anything that comes into the house that's Rangers, it's ticketed for them because to me I don't want it in my house. Very simple. Upcoming events for Coaches Collectibles: Islanders forward Emil Heineman on Wednesday, December 3rd from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Ripett Card Company in Cedarhurst. I've never been there. And I think I'm going to wind up going with my son Jared that night to the autograph session with Emil Heineman. And you always love to see new card stores. I don't know how new it is, but I've never been to Ripett Card Company in Cedarhurst. I think we're going to go that night. Mets broadcasters Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, the best booth in baseball on Saturday, December 6th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. I know Tony is very excited. Are you going? Did you buy your ticket?
I did.
You did? Very nice. Dom was very happy. Cha-ching. See, we made a sale for you there, Dom. We'll see. Maybe I'll see you there that night. Maybe we'll get time doing a little interview with some of them for the show. Yeah. Well, you could do the interview. Since you paid for the autograph, maybe you can do the interview with Keith Hernandez or something like that.
I could do that.
Gary Cohen would do it with me because I've always gotten along with him in all the years I covered Mets games. Yeah. So maybe we'll get Gary Cohen on the show.
That would be nice.
We're working. Did I tell you who we're working on? Did I say this off air or on air on Tuesday?
I believe it was off air.
It was off air.
Pretty sure.
So the Mets, and Tony was not happy with 2 out of the 3. But 3 Mets are going to go into the Mets Hall of Fame this year. Bobby Valentine, Carlos Beltran, and Lee Mazzilli. I know you're not happy about Beltran and Valentine, but you are happy about Lee Mazzilli. So we are efforting Lee Mazzilli to be on the show after the holiday.
Nice.
So Jay Horowitz is so good to us here on the show. And he said, let's talk after the holidays. And whenever Jay says let's talk, that's always a good sign that it's going to wind up happening. So we are looking forward to that after the holidays. Also, Sunday, December 14th, more Mets stuff. Mulcahy's in Wantagh will host 2 events, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., a public signing with Terry Collins and umpire Tom Hallion. So get your ass in the jackpot and give yourselves a shot and go get those autographs. And from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. that same day, a signing with Mets third baseman Brett Beatty. Yes or no, Tony the Met fan? Opening day, is Brett Beatty a New York Met? The look on Tony's face.
I won't be sad if he's still there, but I do personally, no disrespect to the man, but I do think he should go.
Is Brandon Nimmo on the Mets on opening day?
I hope so.
You hope so?
Yes.
Is Kodai Senga on the Mets on opening day?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is Pete Alonso on the Mets opening day?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I don't. They had an opportunity last year to sign him. They're going to have to pay a hell of a lot more this year. Pay it. Get it done.
Should be a Met for life. Although,
absolutely right.
As I've said here, not even jokingly, I wouldn't mind seeing Pete Alonso in pinstripes.
Yeah, you have
some. You look good in pinstripes.
Maybe.
Not Met pinstripes. I'm talking about Yankee pinstripes. Yeah. For more information on all of those events, visit coachescollectiblesny.com. Now, today, as we do this show live and record, if you watch it later on the rerun, it is November 30th. as we are taping the show and doing it live on the stream. But an interesting moment in sports history took place on November 30th, 1982. And if you don't remember this, let me set the scene. It was the annual, what they called big game between California, and Stanford. It was the 85th edition of the big game. Here's what happened in the final seconds of the game. Stanford scored. They go up 20-19. There's just seconds left in the game. All they have to do is get the kickoff off and maybe kick it out of bounds or keep it in bounds, tackle the guy. And here is what ensued, one of the craziest endings to a sporting event in sports history.
What a recovery by Stanford. You have to give them all sorts of credit. 4th and 17 at their own 13-yard line, and defeat Dairyman in the face, and they saved it. They pulled it out. What a show. All right, here we go with the kickoff. Harmon will probably try to squib it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rogers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. Will it count? The Bears have scored, but the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. Everybody's milling around on the field. The Bears have won. The Bears have won. Oh my God! The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game over Stanford. Oh, excuse me for my voice, but I have never seen anything like it in the history of I've ever seen any game in my life. The Bears have won it. There will be no extra point.
That was all these years later, and it's just one of those things you can watch that. Yeah. And again, no rooting interest. I could, if I was watching that game live, and I don't remember if I did or not, but I could care less who won the game. But that's just one of those things you can watch over and over and over again. And what a great job by their play-by-play announcer, Joe Starkey, who had the call. And that's just wow. That ending to that game, Tony, is the reason why you can never turn a game off.
Right. At
the end, when a team scores late and there's seconds to go, you just never know, because you saw the chaos that ensued. The band is on the field, which was the greatest. He's calling the play-by-play. The guy is returning the kick, and the band is on the field. And I'm like, but that is the reason why at the end of a football game, you can't turn it off, and how many times do you see at the end of a football game now where they try the lateral, they try to pull off the same thing? Right. So that was amazing. And that was on this day in 1982. And again, all kudos to Joe Starkey, one of the great calls to the end of a sporting event. And that was amazing. The John Thiessen Children's Foundation will hold their annual holiday gala on Thursday, December 4th at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. The foundation is celebrating 34 years of giving. For more information, please visit jtcf.org or call 516-679-5098. Last night, I had a chance to participate in something that was really cool. I was invited by Temple B'nai Torah in Wantagh. They invited me to speak at their Brotherhood meeting last night. And if you don't know what that is, and some temples call it a men's club, and this particular temple called it a Brotherhood. So they invited me to be a guest speaker at their dinner and their meeting last night. So I enjoyed talking about my career in sports and being Jewish and how that's been an important part of my life. Growing up, the first Little League team I ever played for was for the Queens Jewish Center in Forest Hill. So that was pretty cool back then. Great questions from a packed room there last night. Great food and great questions from everybody. It was great meeting everybody, and I really, really enjoyed it. I got a lot of great questions about my career and growing up and things that are going on in sports right now. So that was a whole lot of fun, and hope to do it again really soon. If you're an Islanders fan, nice event coming up tomorrow on Friday, 4 o'clock at Bob's Furniture in Carl Place. Former Islander and current front office member Matt Martin is going to be there as the Islanders kick off their annual toy drive at Bob's in Carl Place. That's tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And on Monday, there's going to be an event, and we're hoping to get a guest out of it on Monday's show. But the Islanders will be doing a Thanksgiving event at UBS Arena involving Butch Goring and some Islanders' wives on Monday at around 4 o'clock. So stay tuned for details on that. So good stuff, and hopefully the Islanders win tonight against Detroit and finish up there. They're already 5-1 on the road trip. And who would have thunk they could be 5-1 with the teams that they've played on this trip? And even the one loss, they were beating Colorado, and just they had a rough third period. But tonight they get to close the road trip against Detroit in Detroit, and then they come home for a couple of games over the weekend. So good luck to the Islanders tonight. It is always difficult to say goodbye to somebody, whether it's, a family member moving, your child goes off to, college and whatever it might be, or, and in this case, somebody who you work with, leaves. And you always hope for the best when somebody, departs what you're doing. And today we say goodbye to our social media coordinator, Connor Kalb. Yesterday was his last day with Sports Bash Media, and Connor was with us for a while. Actually brought him on to work at the New York Dragons, and that fell apart. We brought him over here to Sports Bash, and he did a great job for us with social media. And he was always excited to go to different events that I took him to. And the picture that we're looking at was a few weeks ago at Big East Media Day at Madison Square Garden. Connor also helped us out with coverage of the Marty Lyons Foundation golf outing, and also Islanders training camp. Remember, we did that show, first day of Islanders training camp. He came with me. We did some interviews and played him back on the show that day. But every day when you see those clips that we do from the show, when I do an interview or it's just something I'm spewing myself, Connor would be the one who cut up those clips and put them out on social media. So he's an extremely talented young man, and a tremendous future for him in sports, if that's the future he decides to partake in. So we thank him for everything that he did for us. And remember, like I do this show, and I love doing the show for everybody, 2 days a week, and hopefully we can expand that at some point. But it takes a village to do this show, and it's not just myself. It's Tony. It was Connor, and it's Vinny Tickets, and it's everybody involved with Sports Bash that makes this show happen. And Connor was a big part of it, and we really appreciate his efforts, and we wish him nothing but the best. With that goodbye comes a hello. And somebody's got to do that job. And we are very, very lucky and very, very fortunate to welcome to Sports Bash as our new social media coordinator, Leanne Burgess. And Leanne is going to do a great job for us. We are very, very excited and fortunate to be able to bring her on board. And we met because she's also a volunteer at the Marty Lyons Foundation. That's how we connected. So when we started looking for someone to replace Connor, I actually reached out to Leanne and said, do you know somebody who can do, because she has a marketing company, Social Vibe Media. So I thought maybe she would know someone who would do the clips. And she goes, well, I could do them. And that's kind of what she does for a living. So, yada, 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 a meeting with me and Vinny, and we welcome Leanne Burgess to Sports Bash Media. Today is her first day, and when you see the clips from today's show later on, that will be the first thing that she does for us. But we are looking forward to a great professional relationship and doing a lot of great things. And we've worked very, very hard to bring Sports Bash from that little 1 day a week radio show that emanated from an airport to now where we are here at Governors. and Leanne is going to do a great job helping us get this show to the next level, and that's on social media. It's here on the program. It's getting more people in the community involved with the show. So we welcome Leanne Burgess to Sports Bash Media, and we hope to have a long, prosperous relationship with her. As I mentioned, next week, no show Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So we're going to be on Monday and Tuesday of next week. We're still putting together the shows, but I can tell you that the general manager of American Soccer Club New York, Jim Kilmeade, is going to join us on the program on Monday. And don't worry, Tony, I did not send you a picture or anything. This is a total this is a total ad lib on my part. But yesterday, American Soccer Club New York announced a partnership with the New York Cosmos, where they're going to be producing players. There'll be a pipeline between the two teams together. And as part of that deal, there's going to be an annual exhibition game here on Long Island between American Soccer Club New York, they play at Hofstra, and the Cosmos will come across the bridge from New Jersey, and they'll play an annual game. We'll talk more about that with Jim and other things going on with the soccer team on Monday's show. We are also, and I don't know if this is going to be on Monday or Tuesday. I was trying to find out during the show. They're still working on it, the powers that be. But if you watch that show Shoresy on Hulu, it's that hockey show that's based in Sudbury, Canada. It's a hysterical, funny show, and I just binge watched it because I wasn't aware of it. Sometimes it's hard for me to get Hulu because I'm stupid and I don't know how to work the remote to get the streaming services. And once I figured it out, and I met a couple of the guys from the show at an Islanders game a couple of weeks ago. So they're going to be playing, the cast of Shoresy is going to be playing the Islanders alumni team at UBS Arena on December 10th. So either on Monday or Tuesday of next week, we are hoping to have a cast member from the TV show Shoresy. And a lot of the actors on that show are former professional hockey players. So we're going to hopefully talk to one of them on the show Monday or Tuesday, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. And that will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Thanks to my guests, Rob Madden and Nick Baumgardner, also Nick Russo. Rob Madden, Nick Russo from the boxing on Monday night. Nick Baumgardner as well from the Athletic. Thanks to our social media coordinator, and I can say this for the first time, Leanne Burgess. And thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governors. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage and by Coach's Collectibles and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, this is Peter Schwartz. Thank you for watching and listening. Sports Bash is back Monday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone.